Welcome to Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. Thanks for being with us. I'm Madelyn Burke. He's Howard Cross, at Madelyn Burke, at Howard Cross 87 with a nice wave. And the phone number here is 201-939-4513. You can find us on social media at #GiantsChat. As a reminder, you can find the archive of this show and our entire podcast network on the Giants mobile app, podcast platforms everywhere, and giants.com/podcast. It is Tuesday, December 19th, one day after Monday, December 18th, when the Philadelphia Eagles, that one made Pearson laugh out loud. That's great. One day after Monday, December 18th, one day before Wednesday, December 20th, for those of you who are calendar enthusiasts. Last night, though, Monday Night Football, the Eagles fell to the Seahawks. Shout out to former Giant Julian Love with two late game interceptions to help secure that win right there. Why is this relevant? Well, because of course the Eagles are the Giants' next opponent on Christmas Day.
And Leonard Williams making plays all
Big
over.
Cat,
the cat was out.
Once a Giant, always a Giant.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
Next opponent, the Eagles.
Can you believe that it is week 16 and the Giants have not yet faced the Eagles once? They will be playing each other twice in the next 3 games.
And the Eagles are having a bad moment.
They're in a little bit of a slump right now. They haven't scored over 20 offensive points in the last 3 games. They've lost 3 in a row. Jalen Hurts saying that this team feels uninspired.
Jalen Hurts, man, get some harsh words from your QB. That, I think that the Eagles are going through a moment where, they are expected to do a lot. They didn't have the same kind of team all year long. They played against some softer opponents, made them look bad, and then this is the tough part of their schedule. You lose a couple, and you can't afford to lose during the season, and then all of a sudden, when it comes to late in the season, where they have the schedules all matched up, you're playing the teams that you have to beat.
Have to. And it's tough. Jalen Hurts is sick, was sick for that game, so came out there on a separate flight than the rest of his team. That being said, it was a tough loss for Philly going into that one, but the Giants catching them on a downswing. When you're playing a team that is in a bit of a slump, there's 2 ways to look at it. It's okay, we're catching them at a moment where they're not playing at their best, or we're catching them at a moment where they are the most motivated to turn this around and get right.
Well, I would say I'm not really sure what the answer would be, because wasn't Seattle in a slump, so to speak, right before they? So I think the Giants going to have to go out there and just make a muddy game and try to slow down some of this pass rush and some of these sacks that they've been giving up. If they can figure out a way to do some of that, it just looks different. The disruptive nature of teams that are playing against us in our offensive front has caused the dribble up, trickle of points to come in, and that's a problem. It slows down everything offensively, putting us in 3rd and longs a lot. You start off your 1st and 10, 2nd and 12. That is not the way you want to start every drive, and it just you're behind the sticks constantly. And we're not kind of an offensive team that's built to go, that for long drives, and we have a hard time with it. The drives that we seem to have the most, success with comes off turnovers, comes off penalties or something, and then then we score a touchdown. But it wasn't because we just first and 10, 2nd and 5, first down, 2nd and 5. 3rd and 1 touchdown.
Right. And that turnover, the field position of that.
Yeah, but it just it's very tough. The guys, and they know it up front. They're doing everything they can, but it's just tough for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talk about that last week. That was Giants didn't have a single takeaway on defense in New Orleans last week, which was a huge part of the recent success of this team. And you also mentioned the sacks, coming off a Monday Night Football win over the Packers in which Tommy DeVito didn't take a single sack. Quarterback was sacked 7 times on Sunday. You're on the field. You're watching this up close. There's a lot of other factors going into it, of course, personnel and what have you. But what was the biggest difference between that Monday Night Packers game and that Sunday Saints game in which once again, the pressure was ratcheted back up.
It's very simple. The book's out on our offensive line. Like, if you can run twists against them, you can blitz against them, and they can't always get to the right guy at the right time. They're as good as some of the guys are individually, collectively, they just haven't gotten it together yet. And it's been, Dallas put it on tape. The next few teams did it constantly, and then it kind of went away because guys are like, they're playing so bad, like they'll never catch up. Mm-hmm. And then you got to see a Green Bay team that didn't do – I think they blitzed like twice in the game or something like that, and they didn't run a lot of stunts. And you saw it look like a 7-on-7 practice. Like you're back there, no one's touching you. You just you pick and choose your receivers. The receivers have time to get open because now the routes don't have to be running like 2 seconds. Now they can be running 3 to 4 seconds. And in 4 seconds, you're going to get open. Mm-hmm. And that's the big difference in the game. New Orleans went into it thinking we need to stop them at all costs. So they automatically started blitzing, sending the middle linebacker straight up the middle while everybody else is occupied. They were rushing 5, sometimes 6 guys. We just weren't prepared, or not. I won't say we weren't prepared. We just haven't done well at it all, the entire year.
Right.
And now you're seeing it again, and that's when the sacks started building up a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and getting that pressure on the quarterback, it just affects all elements of the offense.
It slows everything down, and vice versa on the defense. They chipped Thibodeau on almost every play. They would make sure they had 2 guys hitting Dexter, they let him come off the ball. One guy'd be on him, then the second guy would come and just hit him hard to try to knock him off his track, so he just wouldn't be going forward the whole time. And that's a kind of a great, it's a great thing to do. But somebody else, when those 2 guys are being doubled, that's 4 guys are occupying those guys. There are not enough guys for the other 2 guys. You got to be able to get up the field.
Right. Well, and the fact that you brought this up, it's week 16, and the fact that the offensive line is still struggling against twists and the stunts that has been such a point of emphasis for the entire season.
Yeah.
Why has that? Is it because of the changing personnel? Is it something? Because that is something that if you're going to be adjusting for these types of approaches, it's as a unit. Is it because of the constant changing personnel that group has struggled to improve in that regard? I
think some of that maybe, but I think more that they just came off 2 or 3 games when it wasn't prevalent. It's not. It wasn't. They weren't using it a lot. They were like, we can beat you with our 4 guys. We don't have to do a lot to beat you. You're not that good of an offensive line. Maybe that's what was being broadcast, and they were like, guys were like, let's try to get as many sacks as we can against them. And then, they had a couple of games of success. Mm-hmm. Even with a few sacks, they were having success. They're like, yeah, we need to put a little bit more pressure on them than that, because if we don't, it could get, we don't want to give them any opportunity or any hope. So they did what they had to do. They got out there early. They hit the quarterback early. They hit Saquon early. It changes the flow of the game. But the big thing that I don't think people also don't realize is that playing in New Orleans is a different world. Mm-hmm. It is so loud. They're playing the music, for all the way up to the time when the coaches are talking in your ear till the 15-second mark. Mm-hmm. And then the radio goes off. Then you have to turn and talk to the players. The music is loud all the way up till the 15-second mark, then it goes off. Mm-hmm. So they're personally doing, I'm assuming they do it for both teams, but they definitely are doing it to the offensive team. And the offense is like, okay, I'm like, so that adds to confusion. That adds to, okay, can we do it? The other thing that happened that hasn't been happening, we had guys dropping balls. Mm-hmm. 1st and 10, slant, ball hits you in the chest, ball's on the ground. Right. 1st and 10, slant, ball hits you in the chest, ball's on the ground. When you that puts you behind the sticks, you got to make those plays. You can't let the atmosphere, the noise, everything else over, kind of affect you. If those 2 plays just happen, just those 2 plays, it changes the flow of the game. It puts more pressure on them. It just makes things happen. You when you're struggling, every play that happens has to count. You can't miss out on the play, miss out on opportunity. And I've been arguing with Lance Metal for the last 2 days, and I'm like, Lance, turnovers are luck.
Yeah,
they don't happen every game. And he goes, well, I'm like, listen to me. Turnovers are luck. I said, you can tell we drop interceptions almost every game. That's luck. It's luck that we catch them, but because they're all DBs.
Well, but luck is when preparation meets opportunity, right?
Okay,
so luck, sure, but it's because the players have prepared for the opportunity to be able to get that ball in when they're put in that position.
So he was saying that like causing fumbles is a skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As somebody who has played 0 NFL football, I could see that. I mean, for example,
peanut punch, is that what you're talking about, right?
I think that it is a skill to be able to pop that thing out of there in a way that, I mean, just like it's a skill to be able to claw the ball and hold it and not get it.
So why don't they knock it out more?
Because I mean, what was it? A couple of years ago when Giants DBs were really struggling to tackle, and I was talking to Jerome Henderson. I was like, what is going on? He's like, well, I think a lot of guys are really focusing on getting the ball out, and you got to bring the guy down first. You can't focus. If you're focusing on punching the ball out, you're not tackling him, you're not bringing him down. But if you're tackling him and your teammate comes over and helps punch the ball out, then at least the priority is getting the player down. 1B would be punching the ball out. No?
I'm just saying it's a luck play.
Yes, but it is also, it's not like, oh, that was a coincidence. It's not like there was no effort for the ball to be punched out.
They tried every time that the guy's running. They're trying to get the ball out. Sure,
yes. And like some of them are luck, but some of them are, oh, I tried to do that and I succeeded,
Okay.
I'm
just going to ride with it. You can.
As someone who has the exact same NFL credentials no, I'm kidding.
You and Lance played on the same team.
Me and Lance.
I can't see Lance blocking for you. Poor Lance.
Aww.
Are interceptions luck?
Yeah, are interceptions luck?
I think you can put yourself in the right position. Then you have to catch the ball, but
you have
it's more like playing against Green Bay. The Giants were lucky because this guy, who is usually super accurate, is throwing the ball all over the field.
I'd rather be lucky than good then.
No, I'd rather be good.
If you're saying like, oh, all these things that happen is just luck, then no.
You can scheme yourself into it.
Right, you can scheme yourself into a lucky situation.
Into a lucky. Now, see,
there
I'm
you
saying,
go.
okay, all right.
There you go. Luck is when preparation meets opportunity. I don't know where, but that's on some bumper sticker somewhere.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, Coach.
Yeah, right, exactly. 201-939-4513. The phone lines are open if you've been wanting to get in onto the show this week. Big Blue Kickoff Live here with Madelyn Burke and Howard Cross. And want to remind you guys all that Giants fans, take your fandom to the next level with a season ticket membership. Stay connected to the club all year round, not just on game days. Memberships are now available for the 2023 season. Learn more about this exclusive member benefits. Visit giants.com/tickets. Limited inventory is available. I believe there's only 2 more home games left this season.
3 games total.
3 games total. This season was like...
whoosh.
Yeah. Especially having a late bye. I think it really did kind of create that whole, okay, now you come back from the bye and it's like, that's it.
Yeah, and they had they had a big losing streak. They had they got a little winning streak. Then now they lost again. You don't really realize how quickly seasons go until like they're on top of you. Basically, think about this. 2 years ago, week 16, we had 1 game left.
Right. Wait. Oh, well, yeah, because there were only
16 games.
Yeah, that's true. I was like, wait a minute. Carry the 2.
Sorry, I don't mean to make you do math.
Yeah, I went to Arizona State, Howard. It's so true. And it goes by quickly, but it's also, let's rekindle the Delulu over here because it's not mathematically over just yet for the Giants.
Tattoo is still alive.
Call up your local tattoo shops, ladies and gentlemen. Tattoo is still alive. Pearson's not going to let this go. Neither am I.
My God.
Listen. And this, Howard, is what gets the phone lines lighting up right here.
Oh, my goodness.
On Big Blue Kickoff Live.
Alive.
So you're telling me there's a chance.
Oh, my
What
God.
was all that 1 in a million talk, hey? Listen, they're not mathematically eliminated. Yes, it is an incredible uphill battle with a lot of twists and turns and situations that would need to happen for the Giants to make the playoffs, but it's not completely out of the window.
When people ask me what do I think, I say this constantly. I say I just like to see improvement.
Exactly.
That's all I want to see. I want to see improvement every week. I don't care what the score is. I want to see improvement. I want to see things look better. The week before last, they looked a lot better. This week, they kind of, didn't look as good. I was expecting more out of them, when the offensive line with the twist and the stunts. I was expecting the defense, even though they weren't getting sacks, it's 3rd and 17. You're playing sticks.
Yeah.
Keep the guy in front of you. Don't let him catch and fall over the line for a first down. I was expecting that, and I didn't get to see that. So that was kind of a little off-putting, but for the most part, that's kind of how it goes. Like you need things happening in your favor, and you can't get down when something goes wrong.
Can't get down.
You can't. You got to keep fighting and grinding through it.
Exactly. Fighting and grinding through it, indeed. And you know what? With that, we turn to the phone lines because callers calling in. Let's go to Randy in California on line 1. Randy, you're on Big Blue Kickoff Live with Madelyn and Howard on a Tuesday afternoon.
What's up, Randy?
How you doing, guys? Happy holidays.
Happy holidays, Randy.
I just want everybody out there in Giants. I've been a Giants fan since the '80s. Cross, I got your jersey. You're just, when you were on the field, brother, you were a stud. You were just like crashing through people, and I loved watching you play.
Thank you so much.
Everybody's looking at it's a bad season, and we've all been through bad seasons. I've been there since 1980, so I've had bad seasons, right? But the upside is we're rebuilding as everybody else is starting to kind of come down on what their power, their players, right? They're starting to lose players. Players are getting older, and we're getting younger. We're going to have our time, and it's coming. It may not be this year, but we still have to retool some players to be competitive week in and week out and season.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I like that approach.
It's like, how
so everybody better. Right. I understand our offensive line has been a sham for quite a while, right? And give them time. They'll get it right. It's just a matter of time. And once we get that, it's going to be lights out. Nobody's going to want to play us. Just like in the 80s when we had that defense, nobody wanted to play the Giants back then. They were afraid. We didn't have our offense, but we had a hell of a defense.
Very true.
And that's what I grew up with. I didn't grow up with a high-powered offense. Giants have never been that. They have never been that. There was a little stretch when we had Eli and Plax and everybody. We could just light you up with Bradshaw and Tiki. We could light you up. But we've never been about that. We've always been defense-oriented first.
Yep.
So once we get back to that and fix the line a little bit, we'll be just fine.
I like it. I like it a lot. So thanks for your call. I think that,
Thanks so much, Randy.
It is teams are built defensively. Like old days, new days. Like you need, offenses win games, but defenses win championships. And the defense has been playing and been carrying the team for most of the season, doing a great job. Even they had one little lapse, I think, when Lenny left. But outside of that, they kind of got over the little sadness and like, okay, we can still be a good team. And, other guys picked it up in the middle. So you got Banks out there playing good. You got Okereke playing great. McKinney's playing very, very well out there. Dex and Thibodeau both playing excellent. And a few other guys are going to come along as you go. I'm waiting to see, who's as these young corners, which young corner is going to stand up to be the opposite side of Banks. That's going to be awesome to see. We're going to have to see, are they going to be able to bring in or get another pass rusher?
Right.
Ojulari is an incredible athlete. He, when he's on the field, he's a difference maker. The problem is, he's got injuries and he's on the field sparingly. So that's going to be one thing they're going to be looking at.
Right.
And as for an offense, Thomas is young. Right. Schmitz is a rookie. Neal, if he can get healthy and get himself on track, is also very young. And then they're going to have to figure out, okay, how are we going to get two guards? We're going to bring guys in. What are we going to do? So once they do that, then they'll be light years ahead. The question will be then how long does that take? Number one, will you still have your quarterback, or will you be picking up a quarterback by that time? Number two, and I hate to say it, who's going to be running the ball?
Well,
if it takes 2 to 3 years to do this, Saquon will be, 7th year, 8th year.
Because that's one of the hardest things to do is to build a franchise and to time it out perfectly. And to time out the rookie deals and make sure, okay, this position we can secure a rookie deal, this position we have to pay a veteran and all that, and get all the talent clicking at the right time.
Yeah, so it's a lot to do.
It is a lot to do, and it is so much harder than simply like, oh, we just need to get this position. We just need to get that position. It's not like you just go and pick one up at, the grocery store.
No, it's hard because, once you get guys going and flowing and you're like, okay, we got a nice group. Then someone gets priced out of your team's budget.
Right.
And then they go somewhere else. Like you saw that happen to the Eagles. A lot of their defensive players, they had something like 70 sacks or something or more last year. I think they had 5 or 6 guys with 10 sacks. So they had a lot of they
had 70 sacks, and every single down lineman had double-digit sacks last season from the Eagles.
What happens is that, hey, that's great season. You guys did good going to the Super Bowl. You want to come play for us? Well, I really like being an Eagle. I'm going to pay you. What? Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Coach, appreciate your time. Good luck, Jalen.
Eagles, green. You know what else is green? Money.
Money.
Exactly.
Oh, money.
Exactly, indeed. Giants fans, make sure you go and subscribe to the Giants Huddle podcast. It features long-form interviews with Giants players, coaches, and front office staff, past and present. Plus, hear from the best analysts covering Big Blue and the NFL. Search for Giants Huddle and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, or simply go to giants.com/podcast. And don't forget, if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave a 5-star positive review for all of our Giants podcasts. Like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. Let us know what you think. 201-939-4513 is the phone number. Let's go back to the phone lines. Florida man, Vinny in Florida. You're on the line with Madelyn and Howard on BBK. How you doing, Vinny?
I am doing okay. Hey, how are you guys doing?
Doing great.
Is it still raining down there? Is it and cold?
It's still chilly here. Yeah, it is. I was trying to multitask while I had the phone on speaker, so apologize about dropping the phone here.
That's all right. Got things to do on a Tuesday, Vinny.
Yeah. I was looking to actually look for you, Madelyn, to go from Super Bowl to playoffs, but after last week for the tattoo. But after last week, it all went downhill from there. But it was inevitable. We were going to lose sometime, but yeah.
We're renegotiating now, are we?
Yeah.
Super Bowl to playoffs to 7 wins. Let's get a nice little number 7 tatted.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, if we can do 7, Madelyn, I can make some recommendations on that tattoo.
Listen, I'm an open-minded guy. We'll see.
Oh my goodness. This is so bad.
They're addictive when you get them. You actually fall in love with what they look like on yourself. I got one, and luckily I didn't go to 2, 3, and more after that. But yeah. Hey, I had two questions for you guys.
Okay.
And I'll take the second one off the air. The first question, and it's timing as well, because you were just talking about getting 2 guards on the team. I'm actually in the thought process that Josh Azudu / Brett Bederson.
Ben
Bredesen.
Yeah,
Ben Bredesen. Got you.
Is a capable left tackle that we only need. Left guard that we only need a right guard. And I'm looking for some, like we're doing with Evan Neal. They want to see what's the thing. I know he went on injured reserve. Is he a candidate to come off to see what he's got in the last 2 or 3 games? I'm talking about Josh Azudu. What's his status? Is that possible? I know he broke a toe.
That I don't know. I think that's
like
6 weeks it was, so it'd be like the last couple of weeks.
Not a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it is possible. I would not count on it.
Yeah, because he's like 320-something pounds, right? So he's more of a run power guy. And I think Bredeson's a little small, but he'd definitely be a good backup. And if that is the case, what I would think Shane might have the best results is getting a veteran on the right guard side that could help gel the whole line instead of drafting another rookie. And then we can spend our time going after a receiver, going after a defensive tackle, going after some. So wanted to get your thoughts on that, then I'll take the second question off the air.
All right. I think that, a veteran, I hear that a lot, a veteran. The problem is that good veterans don't really move that much, and they're young guys. So young guys get up, they get going, they play a long time in their position, and if they're really, really good, they never leave. Like the Zach Martins of the world, the kid that's down in Indianapolis, they just don't leave because they get to the spot. So you're trying to you get guys that are usually getting bumped out from their teams. They got another young guy that's coming up. So that's what happens. So one guard or two guards, I don't know what they're going to need, and I don't think they're going to be first-round picks. I don't think.
Right.
So outside of Zach Martin, and I'm drawing blank on
Nelson.
Yeah, Clint.
Yeah.
Outside those two guys, there's not a lot of first-round picks at the guard position. Usually they're second and third-round guys. And
I'm thinking they don't necessarily need an Andrew Thomas at right guard because they've got an Andrew Thomas already. It looks like Schmitz is the real thing, and let's hope, knock on wood, that Evan Neal is going to mature out. Hey, the other question I wanted to ask is, as we get toward thinking through, I remember Shane tried to sign McKinney before the year started, and he turned it down. That's correct, right? So my thought is, X is going to the highest bidder. So, and it's going to be real tough to sign him. So my thought, and I'll take this off the air, is it possible to get Saquon signed to a long-term contract before the franchise tag so they can franchise Xavier McKinney? I think he's worth the franchise tag. And I'm thinking that's the only way we're going to keep him is if we franchise him, almost like we did with Saquon last year with Daniel Jones. So I can take that off the air. You guys are awesome, but we got to wait till next year after that.
Thanks so much for the call, Vinny.
So the question is, could you sign Saquon to a long-term deal and then franchise Xavier McKinney?
Could you? Yes, absolutely. It could be done. It could be done. Would it be likely? That is another question, because I think last year we saw that there was a bit of a discrepancy in that negotiation, I guess, or so it just depends on where the two sides land in that, and if they can come to an agreement in the right amount of time to be able to get that done.
I think looking at it from a financial standpoint, if you're a player like Saquon and you know that they probably might franchise me, you're going to make a lot of money for that year. Now your money's not guaranteed, but for that year, you're going to get the biggest hit.
Well, that year money is guaranteed, the franchise tag, but it's
I know.
But it's only 1 year guarantee, and then your future after that is not.
Like that's what I'm saying. He's getting it would be like a big signing bonus for him because it's 1 year deal.
Right.
Then after that, I don't know what would happen. So the leverage would be, in my mind, I don't know if it's true leverage or not, is that I'll sign for 3 years, but at a lesser rate, just so I can secure the 3 years and take a nice signing bonus. That would be the only way to do it. If he was, if they had done it this year, I would have understood more of it. As every year it goes, it's just harder and harder to sign players, especially running backs.
Right. That's true. That is true. It's tough to. It's cap. What is it called? Gymnastics. Trying to figure out how to keep capnastics right here. It's trying to figure out how to keep everyone. There's only so many dollars that you can spend, and there's a lot of players that you want to keep up with.
Exactly.
So, are we taking a selfie now?
We are. We're showing it to Bella because she's calling us.
That's great. Shout out to Bella Cross, also in Florida, also dealing with the cold weather that Vinny was talking about down there.
And as far as Xavier McKinney goes, going to the highest bidder, it just depends on what he's thinking now. If he's thinking like, I'm going to try to get as much money as possible, and he does that, more power to him.
Well, yeah, what's the priority? Do you want to stay? I can tell you right now, moving is a pain in the butt.
It's more of not even the moving part. It's like, do you want to move to make money? You don't care what happens? Because there could be some teams that could pick you up that have no shot.
Right.
But they need a safety.
Right.
Or is it, I'm going to move and try to go to a team that I think is going to be competitive.
Right. And then that team might not pay the same dollar amount.
May not pay the same dollar amount. So that's the thing. Like, as a player who never left and stayed the whole time, I never really considered it. If I was to redo the whole thing, I may not have done it. I would have been like, oh man, that's a lot of money. Like, you got to consider how much money it is and like the changes it makes in your life.
And all people are different people. You know, some people, the priorities are different professionally for all people, whether you're a professional athlete or in any other vocation, right? Do you want to make the most money? Do you want to be the most well-known? Do you want to have the most longevity in your chosen field? Or do you want to have the most consistency? And sometimes, some people are lucky enough to have all of those. Sometimes you have to choose which one is the priority for you. And oftentimes at the, loss of the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, it's just tough. I would love to see him come back. I don't know, signing him. Who else you got to sign? It's going to be a big sign. Him, Saquon.
I think Adory's up.
Adory's up, and he's going to be, he's going to be. I don't know if they're going to bring him back or not. I just know it's a lot of money that's going to have to be paid out.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's not just for next year, but also considering the direction that this course is taking. It's like, okay, who is prioritized in, the bones of that structure? Exactly. 201-939-4513 is the phone number here on Big Blue Kickoff Live. Giants fans, the 2023 NFL schedule is out. Single game tickets are on sale now. Don't miss the Giants at MetLife Stadium this season. Just visit giants.com/tickets to secure your seat today. Again, 2 more home games. Of course, we're on the road on Christmas Day at Philadelphia, but then home against the Rams and then home against the Eagles once again to close out the regular season at MetLife Stadium.
And the strange thing, we were hoping that the Eagles were going to play well all the way through the season. By the end of the season, they'd be resting guys. Now it looks like they're going to be coming in here, or we'll be going down there, and they're going to be like fighting for their lives, trying to get back into or hang around the top of the NFC East, because they're in a tight battle with Dallas, and Dallas lost and they lost. So it's like, oh no. Like, last thing we want to do is to play an inspired Eagles team,
right.
Somebody that has like a lot to play for. We were trying to like you were saying, maybe we could creep in, maybe we could steal a game somewhere with the Eagles. It would be great. And now I'm like, man, these guys are coming. They're going to be throwing the kitchen sink at everything.
Well, and the Eagles are in a tough spot with Dallas, but Dallas owns the tiebreaker with the 2. So with the Eagles' loss on Monday Night Football, falling to 10-4, which is the same record as the Cowboys have, the Cowboys are now number 1 in the division because the Cowboys beat the Eagles and own the tiebreaker in that regard.
And the Eagles didn't beat the Cowboys?
Yes, but there's another element to it. The Cowboys have the tiebreaker wherever it is. The Cowboys have the tiebreaker.
Is it the Commanders that somebody lost to the Commanders?
Something. Yeah,
somebody
it wasn't. Yeah, regardless, the Cowboy. Now you're making me think too much on a Tuesday, Howard. The Cowboys.
Is it conference record or division record that breaks the tiebreaker?
Where I mean, because it's
are y'all looking at me? Because I don't know.
I don't know. All I know is that Dallas has the tiebreaker.
You started the conversation.
I know, but I forgot all the minutia of it. See, look at this. Even on the monitor right here, Eagles dropped to number 5 seed in the NFC standings now with the loss.
Okay.
At 10-4, the Eagles are now the 5 seed in the playoffs. NFC is still wide open, which is ridiculous at week 16.
No,
That's where the fun is.
It's kind of funny that teams play really well, and then all of a sudden they go through moments.
Yeah.
I think San Francisco losing their left tackle for a few games. They lost their running back for a few games, and one of their Swiss Army knife player. when you leave Samuels, everybody's like, man, Brock Purdy's not that good.
But to be fair, San Francisco has not won but 2 frontrunners for the MVP award on their roster right now.
Hey, but again, there was a moment when people were questioning how good are they? Are they really the front runners from the NFC? The Eagles are going to be. What about the Cowboys? And we don't have a decisive team outside of, I think, San Francisco. They're more consistent, but everybody else. When healthy, if everybody's healthy all at the same time, it would be interesting to see what happened. It's
also not, it's not about not having the adversity or not having the struggles or not having the injuries, but it's about how you bounce back from that. Looking at the way that the San Francisco 49ers bounced back from their 3-game skid.
Yeah, but they bounced back with everybody on the field.
Sure, but being able to kind of stay the course to do that as well. And it's like, it's also the momentum, like at what point, because you're going to have some adversity, and it's almost, you want to have that adversity coming at the right time. You want to be playing your best football in December, going into January, if you want to have some, success in the postseason and what have you.
I get that. But when we're looking at teams like San Francisco, their main problem or main plus was they basically they lost some of their key players for a moment, and they weren't season-ending losses. They were like they're going to be down for 2 or 3 weeks. And in 2 or 3 weeks they were down, they lost games. But the moment that they came back, they were at full strength. They just looked like a different team. Now, the question would be, do they have enough depth to do something if one of those guys go out, like in the last couple of weeks of the season or the first week of the playoffs? That would be a question for them.
Yeah.
But outside of that, they're very consistent, and they've been hitting their stride since I think September. Now the Eagles, on the other hand, they've been kind of like pedaling through. They lost both coordinators, and it looked like they were trying to find themselves a little bit. Got to a point where
even when they were winning, even earlier in the season when they were winning, it was like they were finding creative ways to win, but you could still see this wasn't the Eagles at their best. They were, as you say, they were getting lucky sometimes. They were like, okay, we won despite, not won because.
Yeah, and they without both coordinators, you could see there was a drop off, and they were trying to pick up, then get better, and they got a little thing going towards the middle of the season. Mm-hmm. I thought they started to pick up a little steam. Then Jalen got a little dinged up, and then somebody else got dinged up, and they didn't lose, but once they lost a couple games in there, that's when people started going, uh-oh.
Well, and then last week, week 15, they quietly made the shift at defensive coordinator from Sean Desai to Matt Patricia, and that had a lot of people scratching their heads like, okay, that's an interesting thing to do kind of subtly.
Mm-hmm. And they did that because they just weren't getting, they're not as disruptive as they were last year. They're not getting the hits on the quarterback, they're not getting the sacks, and they're not getting the turnovers. And that's not because of the coaching, that's because of the personnel. They've done a great job for a long time with personnel, but they've done such a great job that everybody comes down, cherry picks their players and gets them out of there.
Right.
And when you do that, you better hope you got a lot of depth, because if you don't, then you'll figure it, you'll see it. They still have a good team.
Yeah.
But the depth at some of the positions is starting to show.
Yeah, and it's just tricky too. I mean, you come out of a game like that for Philadelphia, and you've got your quarterback Jalen Hurts saying, "I just don't think we're committed enough." Mm-hmm. That's either a rallying cry or like one of those like.
I think he speaks a lot in coach speak, right?
Yeah.
I think he speaks a lot out of like, okay, this is what I'm seeing. When things go bad, he's like, well, we're just gonna keep working. And when things are going good, he's like, yeah, we haven't done anything yet. So that sounds a lot like the old football coach. You ain't done anything yet, boy. He's like, so that's kind of what it sounds like. Now that they're playing, they've had a 3-game losing streak. He's basically saying out loud, like, we're not playing inspired football. Mm-hmm. And inspired football probably means he just doesn't see them, going to make the bigger plays. Now, part of that, I know he's saying it out loud. Part of that's him.
Right.
Part of that's like, hey, look, you got time to throw it down the field. Your receivers are double covered. Where they've made plays before, maybe they can't make them every time. So now the 50-50 goes against you. And I hate the term 50-50 ball, but if you're throwing it into a classroom, you don't know what's going to happen. Is a
50-50 ball also luck?
Yes.
Really? So there's some players that you'll the book on them, they'll come into an organization and he's really good at those 50-50 balls. We've heard that about those players.
You know what I say about those players, right?
They're lucky?
Nope.
They got a rabbit's foot on their keychain?
Nope, they're never open.
That's true. Yeah, no, that's true. If you're in a phone booth every time.
If you're 50-50, you ain't open. If I got to throw it into a tight window. No, you're supposed to be open, away from. Don't be standing next to the guy. This is not a dancing partner.
You got to keep them separated.
Yeah, so I think the 50-50 ball thing, when I say...
I love the sympathy laughs from Pearson over here, just
The 50-50 ball's luck when both players have an equal opportunity to catch it.
Right.
50-50 doesn't count when... You got the big receiver down there in Philadelphia. He's massive. He stands over the top of you, and then you're standing in front of him, and he can reach over you and grab it. It doesn't work with the receiver from Seattle, who's 7 feet tall, looks like a transformer.
DK Metcalf.
Yeah, he's you gotta Green. These guys are so big. Mm-hmm. So if you throw it close, they're gonna bump you out of the way, getting a rebound. That's not 50-50. You're throwing it to the big guy. He's bigger than you. I'll take my chances. 50-50 if you throw it in Jigba and somebody. He's fast, but they're running side by side. Oh, it's 50-50. I hope he can get it. That's 50-50.
Yeah. All right. I'll allow it. Giants fans, the Giants official connected TV streaming app, Giants TV, brings original video content and game highlights on demand and direct to Big Blue fans. Giants TV is free on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire TV, and on the Giants mobile app. It's Big Blue Kickoff Live. 201-939-4513 is the phone number. Here with Madelyn, Burke, and Howard Cross as we get ready for a Christmas Day matchup with the Philadelphia Eagles. You know, the Giants and the Eagles have been playing each other since 1933.
I wasn't at that game.
You weren't?
Stop looking at me.
You weren't? I thought, I don't know, as the senior most Giant in this room.
That's really bad.
I mean, just in this room, I meant. There's only three of us in here.
That's nice.
Yeah, this is like the second longest standing rivalry.
That's ages.
Second longest to only Washington. And, you know, you look at the fact that in recent memory, yes, Philadelphia has dominated this matchup. It's been, you know, in the last 15 years, it's been largely Eagles winning. They've won 24 of the last 30 games. However, all time, it's a really kind of evenly split matchup.
If we go through stretches, we'll go through some seasons where I remember when we got here, or when I got here, it was like Washington, we beat them all the time. We beat Dallas because Dallas was in a downward spiral at that moment. But the Eagles had Reggie White, Jerome Pitts. They were like scary. And I'm like, well, okay. And said, well, we can beat those guys. And after the game, I'm like, yeah, we ain't going to beat them guys. Them guys are tough. And like, it was just funny. And Washington would always beat the Eagles. It was the weirdest thing in the world. And we had a stretch where we lost to them like 3 years in a row. That's like we're 0-6 against the Eagles. And then all of a sudden, we won for like 5 years in a row. Yeah. And that's kind of what's going on with the Giants now. They're going through a bad stretch with one particular team. They can't get a win. They're going to, you know, in the next year or two, I would say it's going to be like the roles are going to be reversed. Yeah. The Giants are going to be a lot younger. Their team will be maturing, and it's just the roles are going to be reversed. And the Eagles are going to be looking for a few answers in that time span.
These teams have played 183 regular season matchups. The Eagles have won 93, the Giants have won 88, and they've tied 2. So it's very it's kind of down the middle all time. So it kind of just shows like it's like a pendulum. Right now the pendulum swung to Philly, but you know, it's not much longer until it'll kind of swing the other way, evens it all out. And you know, when you're playing a team, when you're part of a team, though, Howard, like when you first come into the league, for example, and you hear a lot, because I know organizationally, we talk a lot about history. The Giants are an organization that takes a lot of pride in the history and the tradition of what it is to be a Giant, to play for the Giants, what has happened. Once a Giant, always Giant, the history of the Giants. When you're a player first coming in and you hear, oh, you know, for the last 15 years, this team has really dominated this matchup. Does that resonate? Because again, the last 15 years, there have been so many different players on both sides of the ball. Do you feel that as much in the locker room as people do in the fan base, as people do in the organization?
It's different.
Yeah.
When I came to the team, there wasn't free agency yet.
Right.
So we had a very unlikable relationship with the other teams in our division. Like with the Dallas, we didn't like them. We didn't like the Eagles. We didn't like Washington at the time. I mean, Arizona was even our division. We didn't like them either. Like, and it was like you wouldn't go in and you wouldn't be swapping jerseys after the game. It was ugly. And then free agency started to happen. And then all of a sudden, Carl Banks is playing for the Washington football team, or back then it was the Redskins. You know, other guys that you were playing with are going to other teams. So it makes a big difference. So when a team comes in and you hear about, oh, they haven't beat these guys in 4 years or 5 years, or this is a tradition and we always dominate this team, that doesn't exist anymore, because you're playing against a guy 1 year and playing with him the next year.
Right. I mean, James Bradbury, perfect example. He was with the Giants and now he's with the Eagles. And, you know, he hasn't been a part of the Eagles for the last 15 years, whatever. He was part, you know, things
and
like
the coach that was coaching Bradbury isn't here.
Right.
So it's like it's a whole lot of – the turnover is incredible. And guys in the offseason, because the way that the collective bargaining agreements work, a lot of the guys work out together.
Yeah. But I mean, that being said, too, I know, like, I remember a few years ago when the Giants and Eagles played and Golden Tate gets into the end zone and he does the Vaisi Kahima celebration, punching the, the goalpost kind of thing. Like, you're watching that tape, you're like, oh, wow, like, look at the tradition of this matchup. Look at the history of it. Like, you kind of feel it, but in a different way.
I think, like I said, I don't like the Eagles even now.
Right.
Like, I'm not nothing against them or nothing. I don't like them. I don't see them out in the street, and if I saw one, I wouldn't think I'd be talking to them that much. But we didn't like the Eagles. They're great guys, but didn't like the Eagles. Well, Cowboys, they're a team.
Cowboys, they're a team.
But we just didn't like each other. So like now it's interesting to see how the guys react, and do they have this feeling of. They might have a feeling of the guys that have been here more than 2 years, like, we really need to beat these guys.
But also, too, I think some people complain about, oh, these guys work out together in the off season. They become friends in the off season, this and that. How, you can't have that. I think it's almost better because when you're on the field, if you're playing against, your best friend, your brother, you're almost going a little bit harder than if you're playing against a stranger. You want to, right?
In the words of John Starks, I would have never took the jersey from Jordan. So it's just, I get it. I know that we're kinder, softer, healthier.
I see how competitive you and your daughter are on the golf course, right? Like, I see that. I respect that. And it's like you going against somebody who after this you're going to go home and make her dinner. But right now you want to beat her.
That's my daughter.
Exactly.
That's different.
Exactly. But you on the golf course, you want to beat her, and you take pride in the fact. And then you're like, oh man.
Like my college roommate, God rest his soul, Derek Thomas. Like he'd come to town, and he'd like we would eventually hang out afterwards, but we couldn't like see each other right after the game. It'd have to be like hours later.
Right.
Because he's like, dude, man, you held me the whole game. I was like, it's not holding if you're going backwards. Like, and like then we'd go out and have a couple drinks and laugh a little bit. But like before that, wouldn't call the week of the game. Didn't want to see each other the week of the game. And he played in Kansas City. Yeah. So it's just different. I don't, and like we didn't work out in the off season together. He had a charity event. I'd go do his charity event, smile and be nice, and like kick your butt this year. See you later. I wouldn't play in the event the years that we'd play the game.
That's great.
Yeah, but it's just like I said, it's just a different world. It means different things to people. You need a lot more. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Like I said, I don't. It's you like each other a lot more. You're it's kinder. It's friendlier. Like we used to hit guys and step over them. Guys on the ground.
Like the Allen Iverson, Ty Lue.
Boom, you down. Like, okay, they run out to get you to make sure you're okay. We're going back to the huddle. Now you hit somebody and they fall down. Everybody kneels. I hope he's okay, dear Lord. Let him get up.
Well, also, too, there have been some moments on the football field that people have seen that are like, oh, I hope we don't relive that.
I've seen some scary things. Guys break bones. And
Brian Shazier, DeMar Hamlin, those things are a little bit different,
I've seen guys break their necks. I've seen it all. Ooh. Yeah, so it's just, it's a different world. Like now, you're competitive, but you're not as angry towards each other. So you're trying to. I think sportsmanship has grown a lot in the last few years, and I think that's probably what we're seeing. So when the fans, they don't have any sportsmanship.
Right.
The fans don't have.
Fans are laundry.
Fans are like, man.
It's like I'm rooting for this laundry. I'm holding this laundry. If you're wearing that laundry, do not talk to me.
I don't want to talk to you. I see people now that come up to me like, hey. My dad's like the biggest Giants fan. I'm like, oh, that's great. How old's your dad? Like, I don't know. I'm like, why? Because I'm an Eagles fan. So why are you talking to me? I just wanted you to know that. I'm like, oh, don't go play in traffic. But
wanted you to know that.
Just like fans are like, they can't wait to see you and tell you. And
I love it though.
I can't stand it. Like I met a girl one time. She was so nice. She's like, I'm a Cowboys fan. I'm like, this is not going to last long.
That's where it ended, right?
It kind of did. Like, the Cowboys beat the Giants. I'm like, I'm not going to make it tonight. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Who's this? New phone. Yeah, I don't know. But that's where the fun is, too, is that rivalry and that heatedness. And the fact that the Giants and Eagles are playing each other twice the next 3 weeks. That's going to be fun.
I think they'll have more of a rivalry because of that. I think they'll have more of a rivalry this time because they're desperate, meaning the Giants are desperate to get any kind of positive, they want some positives to happen. And they know if they go into this game, they're going to give everything they got, of course. They're going to hope to win, of course. and they're going to hope that they can find some way to make some plays against the Eagles.
Right.
All right, and the Eagles are going into this thinking like, okay, thank God we got the Giants. And then that's what's going to catch them.
That's a trap right there. If they're thinking, thank God we've got the Giants team
Green Bay did it.
Right, exactly. And so that right there is the trap. And that's a trick right there.
We'll see.
We'll see. But twice in the next 3 weeks, that'll be the journey right here for the Giants and the Eagles. Starting with Christmas Day at Philadelphia, though.
Christmas.
Christmas.
Christmas in Philly.
It's a Christmas miracle.
I may have to put on a suit just to hit somebody. That's just, I can't believe this. This is so bad.
Why? You get to be one of the few people at an NFL game on Christmas Day. How lucky are you?
Okay, go ahead. I'm listening.
It's all right. Big tears indeed.
The first Christmas I missed was my freshman year in college. Mm-hmm. We played in the Aloha Bowl.
Okay.
So we're in Hawaii. I get up on Christmas morning, I open my window, I look out at the ocean, and I start crying. I call my dad. I'm like, Dad, I don't want to be here anymore. He goes, you're in Hawaii and you're crying? Shut up, click.
Soft.
It was unnerving for me. I was so young. I couldn't believe it.
I know, but you know what? Football is family, and you'll be with your football family on Christmas. Hopefully getting some good vibes out there in Philadelphia.
Hey, Banks, how you doing, bro? See you and Papa on Christmas.
Exactly. We'd love to see it. All right. Well,
and think
Giants,
about those
Eagles.
crazy fans going to be. They're going to be nuts.
They're going to be Philly fans
There'll be
in Santa hats.
It's not. No, they're going to be throwing snowballs at Santa. And it's not even going to snow. They'll have snowballs to throw at Santa. This is going to be bad.
I think it'll be a good time. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for this.
Grinch.
As an eternal optimist over here.
Green Grinch.
It'll all be good. Well, on that note, we leave you with today's show. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of Big Blue Kickoff Live, part of the Giants podcast platforms everywhere, and giants.com/podcast. Big Blue Kickoff Live, presented by Cadillac, the official luxury vehicle of the New York Football Giants. For Howard Cross, I'm Madelyn Burke. Thanks for listening.